for many young musicians that are just starting out in the business, they might think that it is vital to study music production in order to become a music producer. Now, what is your viewpoint on this? Do you think that in order to become a successful producer, it is good for you to first study music production itself, or do you think you can also do it without studying?
Yeah, I guess you can, but everything you have to study. So it doesn't matter how you study. For everything you're gonna have to study. So I guess the answer to that is that you always have to be a student of your craft. Do you know what I mean? So you have to be a student of your craft. So whether you're gonna study, whether you're gonna say, people always try to pretend as though it's like, I just picked it up. Doesn't matter. Basically what they're trying to say is that you're studying. You have to be interested in it. So if you're interested in it, you're gonna study it.
Right.
So you have to study, whether it's formal or informal. At some point or another, you're gonna have to have some interest in what you do and what you want to do. So it's important for you to study.
Completely agree.
That's for me.
Yeah.
And I think if you study it, you get more tips, you get different brains, you get different ideas, you get, you advance faster, and you also get feedback. Feedback is the key, and you get feedback from studying from people you trust or people that have been in the industry, or any form of feedback is important in order for you to kind of grow. So studying is, I love studying.
Now you obviously have a very, very interesting situation, or you had a very interesting situation when you moved from London to Berlin, but it wasn't quite as direct as I'm saying it right now.
Yeah.
Could you tell us what exactly happened and why you ended up in Berlin?
Yeah, I guess, it was, I lived in London for a while, about 6-7 years, and after that, I guess it was time to kind of move back. So I moved back to South Africa. I think if you remember, 2010 was the World Cup. So it was an interesting time for my country, and not that necessarily that I moved back, but I went back to go check it out, and then I lost my passport, and blah blah blah, as fate has it, It was good to be back home. So all those things kind of happened. Let's say I don't do this, the world aligns itself, but it was good. Sometimes it's good to go learn something, take it back, and put it into practice.
Yeah.
So having been back home gave me the chance to practice what I learned in London. So it gave me a chance to kind of, put on events, let's say collaborate with different artists, and that allowed me to bring over different artists from various parts of the world. So, the kind of lessons that I learned while I was in London, while I was studying there, I was able to practice it and put it into action when I was in South Africa. So that's the kind of path I took before I came to Berlin.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so when you say collaborations, how important do you think collaborations are when it comes to music production? Because for me personally, I feel that when you collaborate, you start to pick up very, very important things that you might not learn from someone that studies it with you. Because when you actually produce with someone that has nothing to do and didn't study, he has his own techniques and how he applies it. So how do you think? I basically answered that question myself.
But it's good. You're correct about that. Like, I believe in collaboration. I think collaboration is key for any ideas to flourish. Of course, you have to also learn that you're not the master of your idea. Do you understand what I mean? Your idea actually came from somewhere else. Regardless what even if you think you thought of it, it's ideas in the air. They call it I don't know, I think the Greeks used to call it the god of genius, you know what I mean? So what this means is that any idea coming to you, it actually belongs to the world. Do you know what I mean? When you walk down the street, you're picking up stuff. What you're hearing, you're picking up stuff, right? So you come to your conclusion when you get home, you go, I thought of that. But you don't realize that actually every single place you've been, you've just actually picked up those ideas. You just necessarily felt it. So that's why it's, when you get to collaboration, you must be willing to understand that it is not your idea. And if you can get over that, then you become more, it's easier to collaborate with people. And you create something much more magical, because then you bring all those ideas and putting it together, and then you're creating a clear vision. Do you know what I mean? You're creating that one singular idea.
Yeah. And
that's when you start to realize that if you are comfortable at knowing that it's not your idea, you're comfortable in sharing it.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Definitely.
Then you can collaborate.
Cool.
Yeah.
When we come back to location, if you could decide where you could have went first, London or Berlin?
I'm happy right now.
Yeah.
I think it's good to have learned then, and now it's good.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If I came to Berlin then, I heard that there was like 80-hour parties. What was it, like 10 days straight, no, I wouldn't survive. You know what I mean?
So that shows us that Berlin has been like the center for electronic music for a very, very long time. Now we see that the electronic music scene is evolving. So which city do you think now is very up and coming and could be very interesting for young musicians to
I think Berlin's still young in terms of global sense. You know what I mean? Like, I don't really like to listen to people that tell me, like, you know, there's always someone going to tell you it used to be good before then. I mean, like, think about it. It's much more multiracial than ever before. It's much more international than ever before. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's the key. It's like, if you think there's 4 million people in a city, maybe like 200,000, that's a small borough of London. Do you know what I mean? New York has been this multiracial, you know what I mean? So it's just still growing. It's still the cheapest city in the world to live in for Europe. I mean, for a big superpower. Do you know what I'm saying? Yes. You can buy a beer for like €1. Where did I go the last time I couldn't get a beer for €1? Can't even get a beer for €1 in Nicaragua. Do you know what I mean? I was like, what?
So Floyd, let me ask you, in your eyes, what do you think makes a good producer?
Ooh, what makes a good producer? Well, let's take for instance, I mean, for me, I think production is like, you know, have you ever cooked before? Like a chef. So the good chefs think more about the ingredients. You think about how close the ingredients are to, you know, like where do you farm? So you think about ingredients, you think about farming, you think about all the ingredients. So what for me, let's say what makes a good producer is thinking more about the source of your inspiration. So it's about how do you create an idea to be as simple as possible. So, I mean, of course we all want to be a Mozart, you want to be your Kanye's, you want to be, let's say, celebrated. But for me, the best producers are the ones that make all the complicated ideas very simple. I mean, let's say, for example, like, you remember so many melodies, you remember so many simple ideas from pop music, or let's say it's all been done before. But it's about making things that have been done before sound fresh again.
Isn't that an issue as well, that you fear while you are producing, that you're just doing something that has already been done before, although you want to be more original?
Yeah, I guess we all want to be original. So, man, I have to touch back on that idea. I think for me at the moment is as trying to figure out what draws my inspiration. So re-listening to old music again, finding interesting, let's say cross concepts. You know, let's say take I don't know. Let's say a different instrument from another. Let's say from India, mixing it up with a synthesizer from, like, you know, wherever, from Germany, just for example. So we live in an age of internet. So I think because we've got so much, information, we have to simplify it again. So I think being able to find different sources, bring all the ingredients together, and then start sifting through them and creating those ideas to be basic. It's hard to be basic. Do you understand what I mean? Like, it's hard to be simple.
It is.
Because for myself, I always overcomplicate stuff in the beginning. So I'll be like making a track, and I will have all these ideas, and I want to make all these ideas. And I think about, like, okay, I want to make it, like, you know, I want to make it as cool and as interesting and as nerdy as I can possibly do it, and all of a sudden I lose the idea.
Right.
But to be simple is very hard because you kind of feel naked. Do you know what I mean? So I would say bring it back to what makes a good producer or an excellent producer is the one that can actually create a simple track and a clear idea. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Clear. You understand the moment it comes in. You know what this person is trying to say or trying to accomplish with the piece of music.
Now, you talked a lot about influence. Where do you currently find your most influence from, apart from music?
Ooh. I guess my environment. What can I say? Being around Berlin, I travel a lot, so when I'm traveling, I find inspiration from there. But again, it also goes back to, I make club music, so I make music for the club. So when I'm in an environment where I kind of feel like, you know, I want to make music that makes people dance. Do you know what I mean? And if you're in a space again, another track or another piece of music that I've heard in a club that inspires me. Then I want to go back home and be like, damn, what was that? Do you know what I mean? I want to create something that feels like that, you know? So, yeah, I guess my environment inspires me.
Would you say that for musicians that are not on tour yet, but their dream is to become a touring artist, that it's another step up in the game of production and the amount of influences you get as you become a traveler, as you become a touring artist?
I think you shouldn't think about it like traveling as per se, but I would say, like, I feel like first you must emulate. Do you know what I mean? It's okay to emulate some stuff that you like, because even if you try to copy something directly, unless you're like a robot, it will always have your flavor. So you kind of, I think in the beginning, emulate your favorite artist, find out what they're doing, do exactly that, because it's pretty much like a book. Do you know what I mean? It's like a recipe book. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. So if you follow that recipe book, it doesn't mean that you're gonna make exactly the same cake, because at the end of the day, you're not gonna pour the salt the same way. You know, some people are gonna measure it, some people are just gonna flip it in, some people are gonna, you know, damn the salt. You know what I mean? So you're gonna bring your own flavor to the cake. But you know, cake and baking is pretty much a similar thing to making production. Yeah. Because there's a recipe and a structure to it. Because if you miss one or two ingredients, all of a sudden it's like boom, the cake doesn't rise. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
So that's like in production. First emulate it, and all of a sudden you start to realize, oh damn, that was so basic.